Well, the quarantine continues. How do you feel about raisins? And welcome back to Cliffieland. This is weekend country number 160 on our second attempt of cooking the food of every single country in the world. And tonight up to the nation of South Africa. South Africa, the southernmost nation in Africa, is bordered by the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean on the Cape of Good Hope, and shares land borders with Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Lesotho, and Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. It is a sprawling, multiracial, multi-ethnic nation with a long and complicated history, and its cuisine is equally vast and complicated. It starts with the traditional food of the indigenous African tribes, which will usually involve a great deal of different meats, usually grilled meats. Barbecue is a particular favorite there, which unfortunately we really can't pull off here on the Global Cooking Adventure. Also popular is a dried, cured meat, which is called biltong. It's delicious, it's fantastic, and that totally won't work in this kind of environment either. The nation also features the food of all the different colonizers that came through South Africa, including the British, the French, the German, and the Dutch, and there's all sorts of different dishes involved there, as well as the cuisines of the people who are brought in as enslaved persons and servants from Southern Asia and Southeastern Asia, and those dishes are all mixed in throughout the population. It does present quite a challenge in trying to do a particular dish. We faced this whole thing when we did this last time, so let's take a look and see how things went when we tried things then. Well, 4 years ago on the Global Cooking Challenge, I was able to cook and stream across 3 nights, and on one night I did a really interesting dish, which is a crayfish and cheese pasta dish, which kind of breaks that cardinal rule of cooking that says never combine seafood and cheese, and somehow it worked wonderfully. We used Florida lobster, which is technically crayfish, and it was really surprisingly delicious. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that one this time. On the third night, we wound up doing a street food dish, which I was fascinated by ever since I heard about it when a global traveling friend had it there, and that's called a Durban bunny chow. It's a fascinating name and a fascinating history. Look it up. It's basically a lamb curry served inside a hollowed out piece of white bread, and it is really, really tasty, and unfortunately we weren't able to do that one this time because I wanted something that was more representative of the entire nation. So what we're going to be doing is what we did on the first night, which is Bobotie, which is a minced meat casserole, which has its origins in the Cape Malay cuisine, and it has a lot of Southeastern Asian and South Asian flavors in it. And the reason we're doing that one is because it's about as close to a national dish as you can get in South Africa, in that it's kind of the only nation where this particular dish is eaten. And we serve that with a South African yellow rice, which has a lot of the same ingredients, and the key word there being raisins. I hope you like fruit in your food, because that's what's coming at you. So now we need to see what go into those two dishes. First, for our bobotie, or minced meat casserole, we'll need 1 pound of ground beef or ground lamb, or you may use half and half. We're going with ground lamb here. 1 cup of onions, thinly sliced. 1 tart apple, peeled, cored, and chopped. 2 slices of white bread, although we're using whole wheat here. Milk for soaking the bread, about 1 cup's worth. 2 tablespoons of curry powder. 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Half a cup of raisins. 2 tablespoons of slivered almonds. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. 1 egg. Dash of turmeric. 2 bay leaves, although here we're substituting fresh kaffir lime leaves. Salt to taste, and for the topping, 1 egg and a half a cup of milk. And then for the South African yellow rice, we'll need 1 cup of long grain white rice, half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of ground turmeric, 3 tablespoons of sugar, a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a cup of dark seedless raisins, 1 tablespoon of butter, and 2.5 cups of water. Well, that looks good. Now, like last time on the bobotie, I've taken the recipe that's linked in the About section and merged it in with a different one I found online to try to create one that incorporates the best of all those things. So this should be really interesting. It's time to get cooking. Preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the bread slices in a bowl, cover the bread slices with milk, and let soak. Heat a saucepan over medium heat,
Then brown the ground meat, breaking it into small bits for about 5 minutes. Drain off the fat, then add the chopped onions, and cook for about 5 minutes or until the onions are softened. Then add the chopped apple, and then squeeze out the excess milk from the bread slices, and add the soaked bread to the skillet, tearing the softened bread apart to blend it with the meat mixture. Then add the curry powder, brown sugar, raisins, almonds, lemon juice, 1 egg, and turmeric. Stir well to combine. Taste and salt as needed. Grease a 9-inch by 13-inch baking dish or equivalent, and pour the meat mixture into the dish. And then lay the leaves on top. Bake for 40 minutes. Remove the dish from the oven, and then in a small bowl mix the egg and milk, and pour that over the meat mixture. Return the dish to the oven, and bake for 15 minutes more. Into a saucepan, place the rice, salt, turmeric, sugar, cinnamon, raisins, butter, and water. Bring it to a boil, and when it comes to a boil, reduce the heat to low. Cover and let it simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes or until the rice is fluffy and the water has been absorbed. Fluff with a fork, taste and adjust seasoning as needed. Remove the casserole from the oven. Remove the leaves before serving. Serve the rice on plates or in bowls. And scoop servings of the bobotie on top or alongside if desired.
How'd that all turn out? Well, it was really tasty. Enjoyed it a whole lot. The place just was smelling of all those great spices right away, and it all tasted really great. Let's start out with the bobotie. That was really nice. Now, I understand it's something like a meatloaf, and I've seen pictures of it, that it's showing like, you know, a solid cube with the egg milk thing on top, and mine obviously did not look like that. I don't know if it's like the recipe or it's my total performance on it. So looks-wise, it did not work out. Taste-wise, it really did. It was sweet. It had those flavors of the raisins and the apples in there, a nice little bit of crunch. Loved it. I'm gonna give that one 4 out of 5 globes. It's really a nice simple dish, and it's kind of heartwarming in these times to have something that's kind of like comfort food like that. As for that yellow rice, it wasn't like any yellow rice I've had before because it did have that sugar, which really was kind of surprising. But that didn't make it too sweet though. It had nice flavor. The turmeric gave it a really nice flavors of Southern Asia. Again, it had those raisins, which seemed to marry quite nicely with the bobotie. And I've seen them served together before, so you know, I hope I didn't do something terribly wrong. But it was really good. Gonna give the South African yellow rice 4 out of 5 globes as well. So a nice, simple, heartwarming dish from South Africa. So that's 2 weeks in Africa, and we're gonna spend the 3rd week in quarantine in Africa. Well, next week when we go north to go south to have the food of South Sudan. See you then. And remember, if you'd like to be advised when these videos are posted, please be sure to follow us on Periscope. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Like and subscribe if you'd like to be advised when these videos are posted, and be sure to hit that bell to get those notifications. Remember, links to the original recipes can be found in the About section. If you have any thoughtful feelings or helpful suggestions about the food we're eating, please be sure to sound off in the comments. Thanks for watching, and happy eating!